My name is Bill. I'm a 61-year-old male that lives here in Pasadena, Texas. I have had heart problems since I was 33 years old. I am third-generation heart attack waiting to happen. And so after 27 years of struggling, Dr. Abala suggested that I see the Center for Advanced Heart Failure because it was at the end of what typical medicine could do. So I have already had a transplant. So I have a 30-year-old heart beating in my chest. And it's a wonderful gift, and I would suggest to you or anyone else that you become a possible organ donor because you don't know what a gift of life you're going to be giving. Before Dr. Abala recommended me for advanced heart failure therapy, I could tell that my strength, my energy, my vitality, and endurance was decreasing more rapidly than I even thought it might. There were things that I could no longer do. I couldn't walk very far without just being completely out of breath. And I knew that the congestive heart failure was advancing. I knew that it was just before time and something else would have to happen. But I realized that I just couldn't do the things that I used to do, even 2 years before. And so the advanced heart failure therapy was something that was going to give me new life, new hope, and possibly many more years to live.
So Billy Jernigan has been a long-term patient here at Orion Medical, and we've slowly watched him get less and less energetic, more short of breath as his heart progressively weakened. He had all the regular therapies of medications, cardiac cath, defibrillator implants, but his energy levels in his heart was getting weak. And given that he's still young, and he again was a really excellent candidate for a heart transplant.
It's pretty emotional. Well, I went to the first meeting with Dr. Loyoka at the Advanced Heart Center. And they did a full exam on as far as an echo and pulmonary function. And the results of the echo was that my heart was at such a low function that he came in and said, you do need a heart transplant. And so we're going to begin the workup. The workup actually lasted about 4 months because I think I got the world's best physical from head to toe. Everything, MRI, blood work, every x-ray that you could think of from my head, there again, to my toes. And of course they found a couple of little things. They had to go back and see, okay, is there a problem with that now? They found a spot on an adrenal gland. And so after going through that process, they said, no problem. So the testing was quite intensive. I remember one day they drew probably 20 to 30 vials of blood. And I began to wonder if I was going to have anything to walk out of there with. But after that, then the process was turned over to 2 full days of interviews. And it was surgical interviews, it was cardiovascular interviews, it was the pulmonary interviews, there was social workers, pharmacologists. I think they brought in everybody but the trash collector to do that. But they wanted to talk and see how I would relate to a transplant. And probably one of the most important ones was the social worker, because she said that we would have to do a few things to prepare for that. And that was one, have a good support group, good care at home, people to take care of us or take care of me. And of course I had my wife and our older son who lives with us. And I can obviously see why I needed that, because post-transplant I felt like almost like a vegetable. But the process then, once all the testing was completed, they listed me on the National Transplant Register. And 4 months later, after waiting, I got a visit with the doctor one day, pulmonologist there, and she said, Mr. Jernigan, we have you a heart. In the process, though, I ended up having to be admitted to ICU for more intensive watching and medical care for 3 months, from April to late April to early July. And then on July 6th, I received my new heart. And I discovered that, and I knew that everybody thought that open heart or bypass surgery is very similar to transplant. And to me, I liken the two to the difference between having your ears cleaned out and getting your fingernails polished. Two completely different procedures, even though they do involve cracking the chest. But the medicines and the procedures are so much different. But I'd have to say that there was a little fear for the unknown, not for the surgery, because I'd been through the surgery before with bypass, but the aftercare. Would I make it? Would the heart be rejected? Would I end up going through the surgery for nothing? And I just hung in there and I just said, God, you're the one that brought me this far. I'm going to submit and have it done. And so that night, when the doctor came in and said, we have your heart, I think I just about bawled my eyes out, because a transplant involves someone else having to die. And that may not be a fun thing to think about, but someone that gives that gift of a heart or kidneys or lungs or whatever, it's probably the most expensive, precious gift there is on earth. And it is not lightly taken or given, because for me to receive this heart, a mother and a dad had to lose their son. And so that weighed on me very heavily. The fact that out of gratitude, I have to submit to what God has provided, but I have to be thankful for the parents and the person that made the donation. So after surgery, it was probably rather typical transition. I did have a couple of episodes of rejection afterwards, which I had to be brought back into ICU for 3 days for some massive steroid IVs, and then I went home. And so the last heart cath that I've had was about 2 months ago, and I'm not due for another one for another 30 days or so. So I'm on the long haul now. Things have calmed down. My strength is slowly returning. As I walked in here, I couldn't walk as fast as everybody else is yet, but nevertheless, the health is returning. The side effects are diminishing, and it is well worth it. So I've got a heart that's half my age. I tell our son all the time, who's 33 yesterday, I said, my heart's younger than yours. He said, yeah, but you still got the same old body. And I said, yeah, you're right. The care that Dr. Bala has given me has really changed my life. About 1.5 years ago, when we were talking in this office, he very cautiously and lovingly and carefully said, I do not know that you have any other options but 3. 1, to receive a heart transplant, 2, to receive a heart pump, or 3, to accept the inevitable end of life. And he was so apologetic and so tender about especially the last part. And I remember him saying, I hope I have not upset you. And I told him, I said, no, Dr. Bala, I said, remember, I've been dealing with this for 27 years. I knew 27 years ago that this was going to be an end result somewhere down the line. So he said, well, I'm going to recommend that you talk with these people at the Center for Advanced Heart Failure at Memorial Hermann. I said, okay. And so he prepared me by giving me quite a bit of information and talking to me more like a brother than a doctor. I think of Dr. Bala as my friend, not my doctor. But I have to say this, he's probably the best technician or diagnostician that I have ever seen. I appreciated him very much giving me the truth, unvarnished, but lovingly. And he did that in a way that was not offensive, it didn't upset, and it was truthful. And so my basic bottom line would be, I came to him a couple of weeks ago just to say hi again, and I think he was surprised to see me. But I want to stay in touch with him and let him know that what he did for me meant continuation of life. And had he not, I asked for the pathology on my old heart a few weeks ago, and I was told that it was a big, sagging, gelatinous bag of nothing, that it had already been so destroyed that it was just really a matter of time, ticking like a time bomb. And so his process of getting me in when he did was very timely and very needed. And it was almost as if the clock was ticking and he knew it. Probably knew more than I did how much it was ticking down. So his care, even before that event, really kept me going. He kept a very close watch on me. He made recommendations. He didn't talk to me in high medical terms, but in just plain language. Well, I'm told by some of the transplant cardiologists that some of their former patients have been running marathons and things like that. I've never been a runner. I don't like to run. But I still, 2 days after I was dismissed from the hospital, I was back at work. I preached on Sunday after being released on Thursday, and I haven't missed a day since. I have limitations because of having to wear a mask for disease or infection control. But I plan to resume and get as more active as I can, as soon as I can. In fact, Dr. Leoka asked me here about 2 weeks ago, how do you feel? I said, I feel fine. He said, now tell me how you feel. I said, I am bored, I am bored, I am bored. He said, oh, he feels good. And I do. I feel really good. I'm ready to go even though they hold me back like a team of mules. I plan to I have written a book that I'm waiting to publish called My Two New Hearts. The first new heart deals with the heart that Christ gave me when I was redeemed and saved. The second one was about this transplant portion. And my hope is to not necessarily prepare people, but to show them how God can take care of you and prepare for you and provide for you. But also that there are things that people have to do to take care of themselves, change a lifestyle. And so that, in addition to, I intend to actually get back on and try to do some work on the transplant floors, as far as just counseling and just going by the bedside and holding their hand and loving on them and praying for them and just caring for them and with them. So I don't plan on retiring. I'm 61, but my retirement will be whenever this final heart fails and I'm gone. That's it. I will work till that day. I would really recommend Dr. Bala to anyone, my family, my friends, a stranger. In fact, I have in the past few weeks told a few people, if you need a good cardiologist, let me give you his name. I even have his phone number in my wallet just in case. So if you need a good cardiologist, he's very well prepared. I would recommend that you call him immediately.